What is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And on this show, we focus on tips, tricks, and strategies to help you to really, what is take back time? It helps you to invest now so that you have more time later. And so that's all about what our guest today is all about, time management. And her name is Laura Vanderkam, and she's the author of several time management and productivity books, including Off the Clock. She's also written I Know How She Does It, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast, and 168 Hours. Her work has appeared in publications including New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, Fortune, and so many others. She's also the co-host with Sarah Hart Unger of the podcast Best of Both Worlds. She lives outside of Philadelphia here with me. I live outside of Philadelphia too, so we have something in common there. And she's with her husband and her 4 children, and she has an amazing blog at lauravanderkam.com. We'll have all those links for you. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you because a lot of times I'll interview people in different spaces. So this gets where we can really banter about different ideas and thoughts around productivity and time management. And I've seen and I've been following your work, and we have a lot of similar thoughts in that it's not really just about time. As a matter of fact, it has nothing to do with that. And it's more about how we feel and how we show up for our time. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit more in depth and get into your book, Off the Clock.
Great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. So, one of the things that you said in your book, or maybe it was on a blog that I read, is that we have like this culture of being busy, right? And so tell me more about your thoughts around this whole busy thing and how you go about to unwind being busy.
Yeah, well, we do love to talk about how busy we are. You ask people, how was your weekend? They're going to say, oh, same as usual, busy. How's life busy? It basically just means fine, which is kind of funny if you think about it, that the state of being fine is defined as having a great deal to do, right? But what we're really trying to say is like, everybody wants a piece of me. I am just that important. But, saying we're busy is a nicer way of saying that. The issue of going around talking about how busy we are, though, is that we start to believe it. We start to believe that we don't have time for the things that are important to us, how people run themselves right and be like, oh, I'm so busy at work. Oh, I'm so busy with my family. Of course, I don't have time to read or exercise or volunteer or anything like that. I'd love to. Really, I'd love to. But I'm so busy. But, I've seen thousands of people's schedules at this point. I always have people track their time. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't have some time that can be used for personal goals if they want. It's just about being mindful, about figuring out some strategies, and fundamentally about believing that the time is there. We look for it.
I think that when we want something, I know when I want something, like I want to go to a concert or I get these, I move hell and high water to get there, right? So we know we can do it if we really want to do it. And so I think it's just our excuse. Busy is our excuse.
Yeah. In my speeches, I tell a story often of a lady who was tracking her time for me. In the particular week she was doing this, her hot water heater broke, leading to there being water all over her basement, one of those great, wonderful homeownership woes that happens. So her time log shows her dealing with this, with the immediate aftermath of finding water all over her basement and the plumbers and everything else. And it winds up taking 7 hours of her week, which is a lot of time. It was like finding an extra hour in the day, because we talked about this at the start of the week, said, let's find 7 hours for going to that concert, finding 7 hours for training for a triathlon. Most people would be like, yeah, I cannot find 7 hours. But like, if there's water all over your basement, you'll find 7 hours.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, the time is there if you truly need or want to find it. And so it's just about having that sense of urgency about things that are important to you.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, the sense of urgency about the things that are important, right? But, what do you think is the difference between priority and sense of urgency now that you bring that up?
Well, I mean, the two are together, and certainly making something a priority in your life means actually getting to it with this sense of urgency. That doesn't, of course, mean that things that are priorities in your life will look like an exploding water heater. I mean, they're usually not going to look like that. They're going to look more in the sense of investing time in important relationships, or maybe doing professional development work, taking care of your health. These are all things that are long-term very, very important. It's just none of them is ever screaming until you get, say, a health scare, or until somebody you thought was your work ally suddenly doesn't like you anymore. I mean, then they become urgent. But the question is, how can you sort of treat them with that sense of urgency prior to them actually melting down?
Absolutely, right? We have to schedule our priorities first, because otherwise we know we just never get to them.
Exactly.
Especially when they're those long-term things, for sure. So tell me about, as you said, you've interviewed thousands of people. You've taken so many different people's time logs and you've looked at them. It's almost an obsession with time management, right? And time logs. What created all this? Where did you decide, okay, I was going to invest so much of your time and energy in and around time management?
Well, I think time is just one of those fascinating topics where, we all have the same amount of it, right? Like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week. Everyone's denominator is the same. People have different amounts of money. They have different other things going for them or not going for them in life, but we do all have the same amount of time. So I kind of like that sense of equality that we all share on that one. I became interested in time more specifically after I became a parent for the first time, many years ago.
And I can understand.
As anyone who does have kids knows, it does consume a lot of time. And so I was trying to figure out how I can continue doing my writing work I was doing at the time and have time for my own personal projects and spend enough time with my family. So I started studying people who seemed to have a good grasp on these things. And the more I did, and the more I sort of studied the various time data that is out there, the more I saw that time is one of those topics where I really think a lot of us have it wrong. Like, a lot of the common wisdom about where the time goes is just wrong. People are not working more hours now than they were in the past. People
right,
are
but
not,
they feel like they are.
They feel like they are, but they're not. People are not sleeping less than they are in the past. In fact, the amount of sleep that the average American gets has gone up in the last 15 years. Nobody believes that, but the time diary data is there. People have gobs of leisure time. It's just mostly spent in front of the television.
Do you think that the sleep has been affected in terms of the quality time? Because that's what's being deteriorated with sort of the distractive nature of...
Yeah, but people have fallen asleep in front of the TV since TVs have existed. I think it's always been, in that sense, distracted. I think the actual rise in sleep is more related to the aging population. So the slight rise is related to the average age going up. And as people get older, sometimes there's more sleep involved in their lives. But the idea that Americans are increasingly sleep deprived is actually not true. What we get interested in these figures during certain periods of our lives, which may feature a little bit more time constraints. So it's like the idea that parents have no leisure time. They do. They most definitely do. But people form their impressions of parenthood like when they are plunged into parenthood. And so like they have a baby. And when you have a baby, you actually don't have that much leisure time. You have some, but you don't have very much.
Right.
And that mental model is still there even as the kids grow up. And as more time starts to open up, you're still like, oh, I have no free time whatsoever.
Right. Well, I guess we develop like any value or any belief system, we develop it from when we're a kid too. It's how do your parents relate and talk about time, just like how they relate and talk about money or relate and talk about anything, right? And then that's must influence us as to how we grow up and how society is organized around it as well.
Yeah, certainly. And again, the time when people have small kids is when they sort of feel most crunched for time, especially if people are working and also have small kids. Those are the people who do tend to feel most like they don't have time. So if that's your impression from growing up, you will remember that, and that will be what your story
I guess so. I'm thinking because when I first had my kids, I felt like actually I had more time. We took naps together, and I guess maybe it was just my mindset, and that's why I think maybe it had a little bit to do with what I thought about time beforehand. Is so like if I wanted to work out, I would work out with them. Like I do sit-ups, but I sit up into them or where they'd be like on my knees or something. So I don't know. I guess it's like how you've organized yourself before you get to that point also plays a big role into what happens when you're there.
Well, sure. There's lots of ways you can combine it. But the honest truth is, you can run a marathon. Like you just have to decide to do it and make logistical arrangements, which maybe it's not a priority to do, but you can decide one way or the other.
Totally. So what happens when people do all these tips and tricks, right? We're tool crazy. Like everybody, a lot of the work that I do, people are like, well, tell me the latest tool. And I'm always like, well, first of all, one tool isn't going to work for everybody. And second of all, it's not the tool. Every tool works, right? It's a matter of whether you're going to consistently use that tool.
If you use it, that matters a lot, I guess, right?
Right. And usually we'll use it for a little while and then it will stop with the continued behavior. What do you think is the biggest, like if there was one thing that you said that people could really change their relationship with time, what would it be for you?
Well, for me, I like tracking my time. I have tracked my time continuously for a little over 3 years now in half-hour blocks. I don't check in every half hour. It's like I check in like 3 times a day and write down what I've done since the last time I checked in. And it's been amazing for me. Most people who track their time, even for just a week, really get a very different sense of where the time goes. We've been telling ourselves, again, all these stories about where the time goes, but when you actually have to spell out where the whole 168 hours go to, you learn a lot about your life and you learn a lot about how time feels and what could fit or couldn't fit. So I think that a time log, a simple time log would be the biggest tool. Some people use apps, time tracking apps. Personally, I don't. I just have a spreadsheet I like to use. And the reason is because it's the issue with all productivity apps. I mean, the more apps you have on your phone, the more interesting your phone is. And the more likely you are to pick it up again to look at your productivity app. But the more you're at your productivity app, you're like, oh, let me go check Facebook. Let me go check Instagram. Let me go check Twitter. Let me go check the headlines. Next thing you know, you've like gone down this 45-minute internet rabbit hole. And so your productivity app would have to be really, really good to make up for that internet rabbit hole that you just fell down from checking it.
Totally. You got to avoid the temptation. And if you're putting yourself back into temptation each time, that's setting you up for a challenge. So it's interesting. There's probably people that think, and I know that I thought this for a while, like I think tracking is really important. I mean, if you think about weight loss, they'll tell you to track what you eat, what you drink, and all of that is to give you greater awareness. But there's a lot of people who they go, yeah, but, and that but comes out in terms of it's really time consuming. It really requires a significant commitment, doesn't it, in order to do that?
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think that's an excuse. Like people are like, I don't have time to track my time, which is like patently false. People don't want to, is what it is.
Right.
And, it takes me like 3 minutes a day. So that would be 21 minutes a week. Like my guess, you got 21 minutes somewhere. It's like the amount of time I spend brushing my teeth, basically, which is an activity I've yet to see fit to question. So I'm too busy to brush my teeth.
Right. That's funny, right? You don't hear people saying that because it's part of their rituals and they
part of your life, just something you do, healthy habit, good for you. Yeah. So I think it's that people don't want to. And the reasons they don't want to are numerous. I mean, one of them is like, oh, I'd feel constrained. If it makes you feel constrained, like, again, it's like 1 week. It's not the rest of your life. I'm not saying do this for 3 years like I've done it. Like do it for 1 week to serious. Or sometimes it's that people track their time for work. And so it's got these bad associations with them of like having to bill every 6 minutes or something. And again, it's like 1 week and it will help you see where your other time goes so you can treat it with that level of intensity that you do those 6-minute build increments at work. I think the biggest reason people have the resistance to it, though, is that they know it'll just show how much time they're wasting. I mean, that's the honest truth.
They don't want to face it.
They don't want to face it. They don't want to face it like, yeah, I was on Instagram for 2 hours looking at photos of other people's sinks. There's nothing wrong with doing that per se, but I just don't like the disconnect of people being like, I'm so busy, I have no time for anything. And then I need to spend my time better. I got to figure this out. I don't want to track my time because you'll find the 2-hour Instagram vendor looking at sinks. And we all do waste time. I think once we just get that out of the way, like, yeah, we all waste time. It's not about saying, oh, look, you waste all this time. It's really about being mindful, being aware of it. So that once we have the right stories we're telling ourselves about our time, then we can say, well, yeah, I have some leisure time. It is not as much as I want. And it tends to come at times where it's very hard to use it. That's why I'm using it to scroll around on Instagram because I have no energy. I'm tired. I'm angry, whatever it is. But those are problems you can then start to address and say, well, how could I reconfigure my time so some of my leisure time appears at times I am prepared to seize it, at times that I could do something I'd really enjoy with it, that I could spend it with people whose company I enjoy. And that's the kind of more useful question I think comes out of tracking your time.
Absolutely. I think that it's easy for us to get caught up in our excuses because it gives us the right, or don't want to use the word excuse again, but it gives us the excuse not to take ownership for what's going on. It's easy to complain and all of that. And that's one of the things that I talk to people about is to really take a look at what their excuses are and kind of own them. Yeah. And instead of saying, I don't have the time, it's not a priority for me. And then
that's exactly it.
Right. And then at least you're honest with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you have to say that to anyone else. Like, yeah, I want you to do, you're just not a priority for me right now. But knowing that is the truth of it is really an empowering position to be in. And there's all kinds of things that might not be a priority for you in life. I could certainly see that there are phases of life where maybe exercise is not a priority for someone. Reading is not a priority for someone. There could be a really intense period at work where family is not a priority for you. There may also be times where your family is like really needing a lot and work is just not a priority for you. There are all kinds of reasons. They could be very, very good ones. It's not a pejorative thing to say not having time means it's not a priority. It's really just about acknowledging like we pay attention to what we wish to pay attention to. And if we're not, there's probably a reason, and make sure we're okay with that reason.
Yeah, totally. I love that. One of the other things that I really liked about what you had in your book is talking about expectations around time. Tell us more about your point of view on expectations and how they impact our relationship with time.
Yeah, well, so we all have the same amount of time. So our relationship with time and how abundant and relaxed we perceive it to be is largely about what we expect to be able to do with any given unit of time. And so if you have 10 items on your to-do list and you do 7, you feel bad. If you had 3 items on your to-do list and you do 5 things, you feel awesome, right? Like, all it is in one world you did less than the other, but you feel much better about it. It's all about calibrating your expectations to where reality is. As part of that, I believe that we need to lower our expectations for sort of shorter units of time. Like, what you can do in any given day is limited. But the flip side of that is what you can do over the long haul is amazing. And
we underestimate that. We overestimate the short term, and we underestimate the long term.
Underestimate the long term. So like somebody who could be writing a book a year, it seems like a very prolific author, right? They're writing a book a year. Like, let's say that's 80,000 word book. Well, what they're thinking is like 50 weeks, like that's 1,600 words a week. I can write 400 words Monday through Thursday. 400 words is nothing. Right. Like, it's what you send in emails to schedule a meeting at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. There's 400 words in there, right? And so you just do that, and then you do it the next day, and you do it the next day, and you keep going, and at the end of the year, you have your 80,000 words. 80,000 words seems like a lot at the beginning. You're not going to do that in a day, but if you just commit to write the equivalent of a few emails every day and just keep going, it's great. So lower your expectations in the short run, and that will allow you to achieve big things in the long run.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I think that we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves. In my book, I talk about sort of the swing between procrastination and perfectionism. And I think there's a lot of people, myself, I swing to the perfectionist side. And so I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself to do more and to set high expectations. And then, of course, I go to procrastination because I can't live up to my own standards and expectations, right? So it's like a crazy 8 type of flow. But I think that I found also in relationships, like in everything that we do, if we can reduce the expectations that we have, the happier we're going to be. So it only makes us more rules and expectations to live up to, make it more difficult to meet them.
Yeah. I mean, the issue with that, of course, people are like, well, I don't want to settle. I'm like, well, why not? We settle all the time. I mean, like if you think about it, everything in life involves some degree of settling. In terms of relationships, like, do you honestly think that you are the best friend ever? I mean, because probably your friends are settling to have you as a friend in their life. Like your spouse, are you the best spouse ever? Well, no. So your spouse is on some degree settling for you. You're probably not the best, whatever your profession is. Your employer is to some degree settling on you. So it's like, right, we're already settling on everything. We're just doing the best we can. And once you get that in your head, like, I think it's kind of liberating. Like, yeah, we settle all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You can look at it like that. I also, like, from my perspective, I don't necessarily see it as settling either. Like, because if you have them and you don't meet them, then maybe it's settling. But if you really just eliminate them, not all, right? That you have boundaries where you say, okay, this is a must and a must not, right? These are the boundaries. But instead of all those rules that go in between that give you this space, you're just having the musts and must nots. So somebody has to be honest, or those things that are showstoppers. And then how somebody expresses their love. It doesn't have to be that they call me at 7 o'clock in the morning every day, or I get a text message before bed, or you know what I mean? Like sometimes those are the rules, like they're so tight, and we do that with our time as well. So I really like the idea and how freeing it is to let go of expectations. And I never really thought about it around time. So That's a cool thing that I'll be taking away and thinking about is what kind of expectations am I putting around my time?
Yeah, no, lowering expectations is a great way to exceed them.
Absolutely. I love that. We'll have to have that as a tweetable. That's cool. So we're coming to the end of our time together. Maybe just one or two last questions. Is there a tool that you would say, and I know I've already said the tool is not the most important thing, but is there some type of app or tool that you personally get the most out of, that if you only had one, you'd use this one?
I mean, honestly, it's probably like Google Maps because that's how I get around.
Okay.
What else? Uber, that's the one. Like, these are not productivity apps, but there are things that are actually useful in your life. Like, that's what I kind of see as, something like Uber has made life for people who travel for work. Somebody like me who travels to different places to give speeches. I could never leave the hotel other than going to the venue, like whatever the transportation was, because you're outside New York or downtowns and big cities, there's no cabs. Like, how are you going to go anywhere? You go to a restaurant, you can't get back. But now you can.
So it's totally. I think it is a productivity.
Yeah, explore the whole world.
Right?
Yeah, so that's a game changer.
Cool. Very cool. And what's your definition of productivity?
I think that productivity is getting what matters to you done. And so whatever that is that matters to you, it could be work-related, personal-related. Hopefully it's a bit of both. It doesn't mean that you manage to fold all the laundry while dictating something, all your emails, and getting exercise at the same time by pacing in place. That's not what it's all about.
Right.
In fact, many people who are incredibly productive have a lot of open time, relaxed open time, because they've chosen not to fill it. And so they're doing what they intend to do at that time. And if you're doing what you intend to do, then I'd say that's pretty productive.
Awesome. So is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Oh, this has been great. Thanks for chatting productivity with me. I always like to talk about the topic.
Absolutely. Me too. So there's so much more to talk about as well, right? Your book has a lot more tips and tricks for people in terms of how, for instance, spending time with family can actually make you more productive. So that's just a little sort of teaser for people who are listening to go get that book, Off the Clock. We're going to post with this Laura's, all of her links and ways to get a hold of her. Is there one that's better than the other that they should go to?
Well, come visit my website, lauravanderkam.com. I am still blogging. It's like 2006 over there. I'm blogging 4 times a week. I just come up with ideas and want to share them. And so you can come visit me there and read about productivity and family and post notes on my own podcast up there. So yeah, please give it a visit.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for being here. All the guests who are investing your time so that you can learn more tips, tricks, and hear from great people like Laura Vanderkam on Take Back Time. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.